Who do we think is on the chopping block next, coaches wise? Welcome back, mother puckers, to the Pucked Up Podcast. I am the best host, otherwise known as D-Bag, and I'm joined by the second best host and the only other one we have today. Sorry, that ranking put you at the bottom, Chris. But Chris is our other host. There you go.
Hey, look, ain't nothing wrong with silver. Ain't nothing wrong with silver.
If I went to the Olympics and brought home silver, oh boy, I'd never shut up about it. Let me tell you. Silver,
I'd tell that to anyone who listened.
Literally. It would be on my Instagram every other day. I'd be like, remember that time that I won silver?
Remember when I was better than you?
Remember when I was better than so many other people?
I was better than everyone except for one person. Fuck you.
Yeah, right. Fuck you forever. Pull a Tanya
saying that.
Yeah. Welcome back, y'all. It is week whatever this is. I don't know. I should have thought about us counting weeks, but when I make this show sheet, I just put the date. Because that's more important to me than the week count. I think we're in week 10, maybe. If I had a guess.
Of the season?
I don't know math that good. Yeah.
Yep, we are in week 10.
That sounds about right. Woohoo! Yeah, we're back. Back with another fun-filled show. Real quick, I'm gonna say it at the top so that I don't say it 3/4 of the way through before we fucking lost half of you. Fucking subscribe. You bitches. Yeah. Subscribe and like it and leave comments and engage and follow our social medias, most especially TikTok, because I am the one running that right now. And let me tell you, I repost some very funny shit. Okay?
You are killing it.
So make sure you're checking our reposts because those are killing it.
There is no question you are fucking killing it. Also, this is episode 68.
Oh, we're so close to nice numbers.
We are so close, and then we have to retire.
Yeah, that's it. Podcast is going away forever next week.
Or every episode is 69 plus 1.
Plus 1, plus 2. Plus 1,000.
Plus 1,000.
Dude, if we ever get to 1,000 episodes, do we have to rent out the White House or something? What is the protocol for that?
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll have to give that some thought. Let us know in the comments what you think we should do if we get to 1,000 episodes.
Yeah, right.
Also, how old will we be? Because we're on season 3 and we haven't even cracked 100 yet.
Well, to think of all the weeks we missed and stuff, we'd probably be a lot closer to 100 now.
That's fair. That's a good point. But we'll still be pretty old. So if we're still doing this, it needs to be senior citizen friendly, the thing that we have to do for 1,000
I'm going to do
episodes.
this until I die. So
Until I die.
I'm committed forever.
For
and
life.
even then, from beyond the fucking grave, I'm going to keep bringing you fire content.
You'll just haunt some poor individual who thinks that they have schizophrenia or some shit. And you're like, no, this is me. You need to get the hockey podcast out this week.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is very important.
Did you upload Pucked Up? What?
Yeah.
Who the fuck are you?
What even is that?
Yeah, just shut your mouth and do what I say, and your family won't get hurt.
Right. Amazing. Well, on that cheery note, let's jump into some news, actually. And actually, we're going to start it off with a player suspension in the PWHL, which is so rare. We had one last year. Last year, we had one suspension and 2 fines. One was for an open ice hit, and the fines were for pulling on another player's. I keep thinking of face mask because of fucking football helmet.
Well, it is a face mask, to be fair.
Well, yeah, but that's not. I don't think that's the term that they use. Anyway,
a suspension. You see this right here? This is me clutching my pearls, just shocked.
All of them,
just all of them at once.
Yeah. So this last week on the 6th, it was announced that Maggie Flaherty of Minnesota's Frost has been suspended for 2 games. And what's interesting is that this is done by review with the PWHL Player Safety Committee. They don't have a fun name like DOPS, but it seems to be that they're taking things more seriously than DOPS does. So maybe we don't need a silly little name for them because they're just a serious organization.
Maybe we just need people who give a shit.
Yeah,
who would have thought that's all we need?
Right? So according to the Player Safety Committee, or the PSC, I guess, but that's not as fun. According to the Player Safety Committee, the incident occurred at 17:59 of the second period in the Minnesota game against Boston on December 4th. Flaherty was assessed a minor penalty for an illegal check to the head on Boston's Alina Mueller, following an automatic review by the on-ice officials and the PWHL Central Situation Room. The Player Safety Committee has deemed this action to be unsafe and dangerous. Flaherty applied opposite directional force, extended her elbow high, and with no intention to play the puck. She made contact with the head of an opponent where such contact was avoidable. This is in violation of PWHL Rule 48. The PWHL Player Safety Committee monitors all games and is responsible for providing independent review and recommendations on supplementary discipline, chaired by Jenna Hefford, PWHL Senior Vice President of Hockey Operations. That's such a long title, girl. You got to make it shorter. The committee also includes Cassie Campbell-Pascal, the PWHL Special Advisor, Bill McCreary, a former NHL referee and Hockey Hall of Fame member, Mike Murphy, a longtime NHL executive and former VP of Hockey Operations, Matt McMahon, a member of the NHL's Player Safety Department. Listen, Matt, I don't know if I need you. You're part of that other group, and they're not that great.
I don't know if
so we might want to revisit this. Anyway, Maggie will be out for 2 games as she sits for her suspension. I do appreciate it that they said an illegal check to the head is absolutely uncalled for and did pretty quickly return this verdict. And I think that 2 game suspension, they did release a video of it. I think that the 2 game suspension in this case is fair, especially given the shortened season of the PWHL. I think should we see more like a longer season like the NHL has, we would probably be asking for at least 1 more game there for the player to be sitting out. But I think that given all of their parameters, it's a fair ruling.
I have not seen the hit. I have heard about it. But yeah, I agree with you. I like that the league is taking a hard stance and they're saying malicious intent or not, this is not okay and we're not allowing it. And I think that's important. You have to protect your players. Agreed. Not only do you have to protect your players from injury, but you have to protect them from themselves. Because if you give them an inch, they will take a mile. That's just the nature of athletes. Like you have to save them from themselves. So hard line of the sand is super important, and I'm pleasantly pleased with their decision there.
Agreed. Absolutely. So that's all the dramatic news out of the way. Let's get into some exciting news. The first ever PWHL Fantasy Camp will be coming to Toronto, January 24th to the 25th. They released a press announcement. They meaning the PWHL, y'all know who I'm talking about. Anyway, they're going to host their inaugural fantasy camp as an immersive event offering fans a unique experience to step into the life of a PWHL athlete. This is taking place from January 24th to the 25th in Toronto. This exclusive camp will feature legendary hockey icons, elite PWHL athletes, and an unforgettable on- and off-ice experience. During the 2-day event, Fantasy Camp participants will hone their skills at Ford Performance Center while playing alongside women's hockey legends, including Olympic gold medalists and world champions Tessa Bonhomme, Cassie Campbell-Pascal, and Jenna Hefford. Among other event highlights, on Friday, January 24th, participants will enjoy an exclusive meet and greet with the Toronto Scepters players and coaching staff, select PWHL coaching staff are going to be leading a skills session as well. On Saturday 25th, the Legends will lead a second skills session followed by a game. After the morning skate, Fantasy Camp attendees will be guests at the Scepters vs. New York Sirens game at Scotiabank Arena. A post-game exclusive all-star after party will feature a Legends panel, a live taping of the Jocks and Jills podcast, an award ceremony, a dinner with a special guest, and more. There's a full itinerary that you can find on their website. Fantasy Camp is more than just hockey. It's an opportunity to live the dream, connect with the PWHL community, and create lifelong memories. We're excited to bring this first-of-its-kind experience to women's hockey and celebrate with our most passionate supporters. Fantasy Camp is open to women aged 18 and older, with packages and add-on opportunities now available. Participants who register by Sunday, December 8th, so get it in quick. Well, you missed it, sorry. Will receive an early bird rate. I just realized the date. I was like, whoops. Each participant receives their own jersey as part of the experience. Additionally, an exclusive guest option is available, allowing participants to bring a guest who can watch them play, attend the Scotiabank game, and join them for the post-game all-star party.
Oh, hell yeah.
Um, which I think is actually really cool that they're doing this, especially so early to really, again, build that momentum, build that fan base.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I think I'm trying to find the prices. Hold on. I think it's something that as we see the league grow, they might not be able to sustain just because there's reasons why the NHL doesn't do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's
Um,
expensive.
it's expensive, and the fees are expensive. So it
Mhm.
looks like the early bird fee, if you had been able to register before December 8th, was $1,500 for this 2-day experience, plus the game, plus the after party.
Yeah.
And now it is $1,800, which actually a $300 discount is pretty significant.
That is.
Pretty exciting.
But also, if you
But
think
yeah,
about it, for like fantasy camp purposes, and you coach youth sports, you understand how all this works. That's
yeah,
actually
not
kind
bad.
of reasonable. Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah,
under $2,000
it's
is
actually not
pretty
bad. Yeah,
reasonable. That's not that bad.
but it's not an experience that, first of all, they're gonna have to cap this at a certain amount of players because the number of people that would be able to afford $1,800 is not insignificant, and you're gonna be overrun. So there comes a time where you have to be like, okay, this is cool, sunsetting that program. But for now, when it's still so new, I think that this is a really cool way to build that community and to get
Hmm.
the name of the game out there.
Oh, for
I think
sure.
it's going to be awesome. Um, and again, you get multiple skills practices, you get multiple meet and greets, um, you get an all-star after party. Like, who
Which,
wouldn't want that? I think
who
that's
knows what
awesome.
that means? Are you just partying with the players? Are you partying with
Yeah.
VIPs? Um, Especially in Toronto, there's gonna be
Hmm.
probably some celebs there. I know Justin Bieber goes to, or at least last year, went to multiple Toronto games.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you look at price wise, yes, that's expensive. But for someone like myself who's played sports, for you who's played sports and coached, we
Hmm.
both look at that and go, 1800's actually
That's not bad.
not that bad.
Actually, kind of reasonable.
Yeah, considering the sports that we were involved in that were
Expensive.
super expensive.
Yeah. There were a lot of money. Especially for travel based events. So
Oh my
I think
god.
it's cool. I'm excited to see it. I can't wait to cover it in January. Hopefully, there's going to be. I shouldn't say hopefully. The PWHL has done an incredible job of putting so much of their content for free on YouTube to make it accessible to everyone.
Every game.
And I think every game is broadcast there. They have additional behind the scenes content that's being posted there, and additionally with their Jocks and Jills podcast, which they do have a video recording on
Mhm.
YouTube as well, the video version. There's so much that you get to see about the PWHL, about the PWHL experience. I'm sure we will see an edited super cut of this weekend.
So yeah, I'm sure.
Sometime after the event. But I think that's going to be really cool, and I can't wait to watch it, and I can't wait to share information from how that went, from what that experience is like for people that are not me, because I'm not paying $1,800 to go anywhere
Fuck
right now.
that.
So, nope. Sorry, Toronto. Maybe next
Um
time. Also, if
Before,
you wanted to sponsor us to come out to cover it for our
dude,
podcast,
for real, call
hey
us
man,
up.
hey,
We're here. We've been here since day
I
1.
do have a passport, so like I could go.
Oh yeah, I can get a
Just saying.
passport easily.
Yeah, right. It'll be fine.
Before we go
Yeah.
on to the 3 stars of the week for the PWHL, the
Mm-hmm.
EA Sports released a little teaser for everyone. The
Yeah.
PWHL roster is officially in the game now. They gave us the
Yes.
top 10 of your highest overall players. Uh, coming in at number 1 is Marie-Philip Poulin from the Montreal Victoire. No, at a 93 overall. Number 2 is Hillary Knight for the Boston Fleet at a 92 overall. Number 3,
Wow.
Natalie Spooner at a 91 overall for the Toronto Scepters.
There you
Um,
go.
Number 4 is Taylor Heisey from the Minnesota Frost at 91 overall. Megan Keller from Boston Fleet is number 5 with 91 overall. Sarah Nurse, number 6 overall with her for the Toronto Scepters. Her points or her overall rating is a 91. Aaron Ambrose from the Montreal Victoire, 91 overall. Abby Rock from the New York Sirens, 88 overall. Kristen Campbell from the Toronto Scepters, 88 overall. And the end of the top 10 is Emily Clark from the Ottawa Charge. It'll be 86 overall. So these ladies are out here ranked real fucking high.
Yeah.
Those are big numbers. So
yeah. I love it.
Shout out to EA Sports again for what an amazing opportunity this is, and how much we've talked about how excited we are to be able to pick up NHL 25 once holidays are over and we're not broke anymore.
Right.
And maybe we can get some exclusive like game content up on the channel, which would be fun.
Absolutely. That would be dope. That would be really cool. Let us know if you would like that below, and where you would like that too. Don't forget, when you're giving us this feedback, let us know where you're watching it from so we can make sure that you're seeing it on your preferred platform.
Also, if you'd like to do if you ever like to watch us get fucked up and watch hockey and just our commentary, I feel like that'd be a fun episode. Or
that would be a fun episode. Or that would be a fun thing for you to join us for in our Discord. We would happily host an event if you want to join us there. Yes, that would be outstanding. All right, well, let's get into our 3 stars of the week with some other names you might recognize. One would assume.
At least
one would assume. Our 3rd star this week is none other than Alex Carpenter, a forward with the New York Sirens, the 30-year-old from North Reading, Massachusetts, who was last week's 1st star of the week, again, presented by Shark Ninja Canada, was a powerhouse in Wednesday's 4-1 triumph at Montreal. Carpenter won her first 6 faceoffs on the way to a 20 for 27 showing on draws, and her drive from the 20 for 27.
Jesus.
71% success rate.
That is absurd.
Isn't that crazy? Her drive from the left wing circle, just 21 seconds in the contest, ignited a first period in which New York outshot Montreal 18-4. That's embarrassing. While taking a 1-0 lead.
You got fucked up.
Carpenter also scored the game-winning goal at 9 minutes and 9 seconds of the 3rd period, snapping a 1-1 tie and sending the Sirens to their 2nd consecutive win. At Boston on Sunday, Carpenter crafted the primary assist on Abby Roque's game-tying 2-2 goal at 4:50 of the 2nd period, and what ended as a 4-2 victory by the Fleet. The contest completed a season-opening 3-game trip for New York, which opens its home season at Prudential Center against Toronto on Wednesday, December 18th. Our 2nd star, Michaela Cava, a forward for the Minnesota Frost. Getting a lot of loves here for Minnesota.
Oh, yeah.
Cava scored 3 goals to help the defending Walter Cup champions win both games on their schedule, posting a 2-1 victory at Boston Wednesday prior to their 6-3 triumph at Toronto on Sunday, in the highest scoring PWHL game of this young season. In Boston, the 29-year-old from Thunder Bay, Ontario, what a fucking city.
Thunder Bay!
I would love to be from Thunder Bay. Can you imagine?
That's such a great name.
That's so great.
Very talked about in the show Letterkenny as well.
Yeah. Amazing. Thunder Bay, Ontario. Shout out to you and you alone. Anyway, Michaela opened the scoring by driving to the goal mouth and slamming it in Taylor Hayes' exquisite seeing eye backhand pass from behind the net. The way they write these press releases, 10 out of 10. You bring the drama.
Can we talk about how like disgusting Taylor Heisey's assist ability is? Her passing is like otherworldly.
Yeah.
I've seen her do some shit that I'm like, all right, McDavid.
Like, calm down.
Save some pussy for the rest of us, okay?
Right? In Toronto, Cava followed up with 2 third-period goals, raising her season's total to 3 in as many games and pulling within 2 of matching her output over 24 games of the PWHL's inaugural season. Cava's output sent the Frost into the break atop of the PWHL standings with 7 points and no defeats in regulation time. That leads us to our 1st star, Sarah Fillier, a forward for the New York Sirens. Again, Sirens getting lots of love in this week's podcast. Fillier, the top pick in the 2024 PWHL draft, collected her first 2 PWHL goals and added 2 assists to lead all league scorers for the week as the Sirens won 4-1 in Montreal before dropping a 4-2 decision in Boston on Wednesday. well, not on Wednesday, in Boston. On Wednesday, the 23-year-old from Georgetown, Ontario, opened the scoring at 11:32 of the first period, driving to the goal mouth and converting on a feed from Jessie Eldridge, who had collected the rebound of her own shot off of a steal. Fillier then set up Alex Carpenter's game winner at 9:09 of the third period and capped her evening with a power play goal from the left wing circle at 19:42 of the third in a performance that earned her the #1 star honor at Place Bell. On Sunday, Fillier collected the second assist on a goal by Peyton Levis, a tally shot that created a temporary 1-1 tie with 2, 4, and 6. The rookie leads the league in points and shares the lead in assists with Sirens teammate Micah Zandy Hart. So shout out to the girls this week that are our stars of the week. This does mean, as an update into the points system that the PWHL has going on, Alex Carpenter in the lead with 40 points. Sarah Fillier second up, 30. Marie-Philippe Poulin, 20 points. Michaela Cava tied, 20 points. And Abby Boreen, 10 points. Very exciting.
Oh, yeah.
All right. With that, let's get into some NHL news, shall we? Actually, I'm going to save that. And I'm going to kick it to a very interesting trade that came across the wire this week. Chris, you want to tell us a little bit about Jacob Trouba and the drama coming out of the Rangers?
Okay, so in some drama that happened over the past week, defenseman Jacob Trouba, then captain of the New York Rangers, was a healthy scratch from a game. Within 2 hours, it was announced that he had been acquired by the Anaheim Ducks in exchange for Uro Vakanainen and a 2025 fourth-round pick. I feel like, okay, I will start off by saying this. Jacob Trouba is a great defensive player.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to be your guy that's just going to throw up 30 points or 30 plus assists or whatever. Like, he's very much so a more defensive defenseman. Right. I just don't understand why they traded and just were like, yeah, here. I mean, I get it. Vakanainen was hurt pretty much all year.
Yeah.
But it's like, we're eating his $8 million a year salary. Mm-hmm. But also, when you think about it, Anaheim has probably the biggest salary cap, like, available,
right,
to any team. I saw, shout out to Bar Down for their post that had a picture of Trouba and Gudis, and then the Bash Brothers from the Mighty Ducks movies, and then like Anaheim just reassembling the Bash Brothers.
Right.
I'm like, oh god, I can't wait for Trouba to headhunt again. Now he's our problem.
Well, hopefully the coaching can get a handle on that. One would hope, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's not exactly having a super stellar year. He's got 6 assists this season and a plus minus of -4 in 25 games. That's real bad.
But my question is, like, this saga doesn't begin now, right? This saga doesn't begin a week ago. This actually goes back to prior to that, when over the summer, the GM leaked that they were looking for trades for him and another player. I don't remember who it was. That was also, they also talked about trading. And Trouba had to publicly come out and be like, "Hey, remember the fact that I have a no fucking trade clause."
Yeah, and he's like,
I have a no movement clause.
Is already
my wife's job, all this
here.
stuff. And he faced so much backlash from the community for that, because people were like, "Fuck you, wife's job. You're rich. What does it matter?" And it's like, I remember we talked about it because I was like, it does matter, because that's still his fucking family. Like,
yeah.
I don't think you understand what it's like to be in a household with an NHL player. And obviously, I'm not. Like, can we look at my
She's like, I'm in my like 1-bedroom apartment, and
yeah, right. But the thing is that it's really tough. These guys are gone so much of the fucking time.
Yeah.
So if your wife, who I believe they also have a kid together, is like, I need to be here because this job allows me a certain level of whatever for the childcare, for the ease of, our life, whatever. And also she has her own fucking aspirations. You can't tell me that then it's okay to be like, well, then the player should just be separated permanently from his family for the how many months are we playing this game? 8 months that they're in an active season?
Yeah.
That's crazy, y'all. That's absolutely insane. And so because of all the way that came out over the summer, I think understandably Jacob had some frustration with management. Because how are you going to tell me that we're going to be having these private conversations where I'm like, you cannot trade me unless I think he had like a few cities that he was like, okay, yeah, maybe I'd consider it.
Right.
You cannot trade me to anyone else. And they're like, we really don't care about your feelings though.
Right.
Like,
And
that's
then
the
he's
thing.
like, well, guess what? I have a no trade clause, so go fuck yourself.
So then, and that's what ended up happening this week is once again, Chris Jury, the general manager, had leaked that they were considering putting him on waivers because there's some, and this has sort of come up in the conversation as well, but there's like a little bit of a workaround, a loophole to that no trade clause where they can put them on waivers and then they can get claimed by any
Claimed by
team
anyone.
and circumvent that trade clause.
And if you
Which I think is a really fucked up thing to do, and it doesn't honor the thought behind that, right?
Well, and think of it this way too. With waivers, there are a couple different ways you can play that game. You can send him down. He's on a one-way contract, meaning the only way to send him down to the minors is you put him on waivers. And in order for him to get down to your minor league, which for the Rangers in this case is the Hartford Wolfpack, that's like he's got to clear those waivers. And then there's another form of waivers where you could put him on that, and then once that waiver wire is done, he's a free agent.
Yep.
Which again, that's real shitty to do to someone.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, I get it.
Yeah.
$8 million is sitting there. He's 30. He's not producing the numbers you need him to do. Although that being said, he's a solid defensive defenseman. He's going to help you out in what matters most.
Yes.
But like, that team has struggled. That team has struggled in the playoffs, which is where they need obviously the most help in production in offense. So you're freeing up that $8 million, but like you're also fucking your captain over, which again, the Rangers don't exactly have a good track record with. Like they are not exactly the masters of, oh yeah, we're going to take care of. No, they don't. They've traded multiple.
No. Yeah.
I am curious to find out what it was about Anaheim that Jacob was like, I'll waive my no trade clause. This is fine.
So I have a little bit of an inside scoop, not given to me personally. Elliot Friedman put it on Twitter. All right. I wish Elliot Friedman gave it to me personally. But
Elliot, come hang out with us on the show.
Elliot, come on down.
We fucking talk about you every week.
All the time. Literally. So he said a couple things. One, he said that he had talked to some agents that were like, they've had more contact with their players on this specific topic, on what they tried to do to Jacob Trouba, than they've had on any other topics thus far this season. Because I do think that it's kind of disrespectful that, like, if you do have a protection in place, that they can circumvent it through this waivers process.
Yeah, it is kind of fucked up.
Yeah. It was also said that there were a couple of names that were getting thrown about. So again, they basically went to Jacob and were like, look, we're going to do this. We're putting you on waivers, or you have to move to one of these teams that's like willing to accept a trade offer for you. And it's shit teams that he doesn't want to go to. You know what I mean? So he fought back. He was like, I'm just not going to show up because I have a no trade clause. And they were like, well, you can't really do that. And so it was this back and forth, but ultimately it ended up being a conversation between Anaheim and Columbus. And I think this is my speculation, right? I think that when he sat down and looked at it, one, Anaheim is going to have the better hospitals for his wife. So in considering her career, it's a better opportunity for her to make that move. Correct. Yeah. She's a doctor. And secondly, I think when we're looking at the culture surrounding Columbus right now and surrounding Anaheim right now, there's been a lot more talk about negativity, particularly Columbus's general managers deciding to hire who they hired one short season ago, who lasted not even into the regular
He
season.
lasted 2 weeks.
He lasted maybe 2 weeks. Yep. And unfortunately, they haven't had a lot of change in their locker room culture that we have visibly seen as a product on the ice, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in Anaheim doesn't have that kind of a negative connotation with the coaching staff. Excuse me, they did just have a coaching staff changeover. Was that last year, Chris?
We
Or the
brought
year
in
before?
Cronin's second season. So last year we
Yeah,
made the
okay.
swap from Dallas Eakins
Yes.
to Greg Cronin.
Yes. And it doesn't seem I mean it you guys are having a better season this year than you had last year so far,
We're
right?
starting off better.
You're
Another
starting off better.
factor that I think
So I
probably
think that
helps
that plays into it.
play in. He's got someone he knows on that team too.
Yeah.
He's
Right.
reunited with Frank Vetrano, who spent
Mhm.
2 seasons. I believe it was 2 seasons.
He spent time. They had a cup of coffee together.
He spent time with the New York Rangers.
Mhm.
I imagine that could have also been a little bit of a factor.
Yep.
And he's got a chance to be on the top line.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
we have some great defenders, and when Cam Fowler comes back, the fact that if Cam Fowler is your top line, um,
Yeah.
at least when it comes to defenders, but he's got a chance to either that or be on that fucking line with Radko Gudas, and Trouba
Yep.
and Butcher together is gonna be violence on ice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which do we need? No, but we lose a lot of games, so you need that. Sometimes you need that injection. Sometimes you need
Yeah.
that. I'm gonna fucking bleed for this team, and then we're gonna go score a goal.
Mhm.
And I feel like that mentality's kind of lost, and Anaheim, I think, needs an identity.
Yes. And so Jacob did actually end up speaking out about this. He said a few things. One, he said, I wasn't really thrilled with how it went down. In my opinion, things could have been handled better. It's unfortunate how it all happened, but it is a rite of passage to get fired from MSG, which I thought was funny.
It's true. All the best players did get fired.
to get fired. He said, I was put in a position this summer to make a decision between my career and my family, and I chose my family. I choose my family 100 times over again, and I don't feel bad about that. I don't like that everything unfolded so publicly, but I guess that's part of being in New York. He did say that the Rangers, his breaking point was when the Rangers told him to accept a trade or end up on waivers, from which his no trade clause would not protect him. And he said it was a threat when they said it to me.
Well, because at that point you have no control over where you're going. Whoever claims you claims you, and you have to play. Like,
right.
In the NHL doesn't have a system set up like the NFL where players are just going to sit out. That's not how the NHL operates.
No.
You don't get paid, and then you don't play anymore ever again.
Right. So he said there was going to be a trade at some point, and Anaheim was one of the places that my wife and I were interested in. He said it was difficult to play with this hanging over me with the whole public, feud between him and New York. Yeah. He said I was pretty open with players on the team, and leading was a bit harder for me in that situation, knowing how public things were. So it's been interesting. Vincent Trocheck also said it's tough when you lose guys, especially when it's the captain and it's a leader. When you're losing like this, you take blame on yourself and stuff like this happens. It's a business and management has to do something when you continue to lose. It's sad, but it's on us to be better. We love each other in here. We want everyone to stay in the locker room. And that's what it's going to take in order to do that. But Trocheck says that Trouba didn't let the stress of the past few months of speculation slip onto the team. But you can imagine when you're in one of the biggest hockey markets in the league and the captain, those kinds of rumors are out there, it's going to be extremely tough to put on a brave face, come to the rink, and be that leader every day. I'm just going to say this, and I have said this so openly before, so it should surprise no one. This is on management. The reason why the Rangers are not doing well this season, despite having all the tokens they need to fucking kill it, is management. It is a history of doing this to your players. It is a history of hiring coaches. Look, Peter Laviolette has had so much success in his career. However, I do think that with his most recent stint in Washington, it's fucking obvious that he starts out at a high, getting you to where you think you're going to be amazing. And then slowly you can see the mentality of the team wear down because he does not promote new and young talent, and he does not uplift older talent that are having, you know, um, mental health things in their life. They're
Right.
older, they're slower, they're more stressed, whatever. He does not have that skill set. And it is becoming more apparent that that's what we're seeing happening to the Rangers. And as a Caps fan, I feel fucking vindicated because every Rangers fan I know, when they hired Peter Laviolette, was like, we're going to fucking kill it. This is, Rangers are bringing a cup home, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, hey, man, good luck. Lavi, nice guy. Not a great coach long term. And they're like, you don't know what you're talking about. You're dumb. And I was like,
I'm just a
okay,
Caps fan.
okay, sure. I'm dumb. I'm an idiot.
Here's how I look at this, right? I look at it this way.
Yeah.
Artemi Panarin, Vincent Trocheck, Alexis Lafreniere. That's your top line. Your second line, Chris Kreider, Mika Zibanejad, Riley Smith. Right there in that top six, there is no fucking excuse for your team to be 14, 12, and 1. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. The fact that
There's
Capo
something
Caco
happening in the locker room.
is on your third line tells you that you have such an abundance. Philip Cheadle has been playing pretty well. Will Coyle's been playing pretty well. Like, that team, there is a lot of depth and a lot of talent on that team.
Yes.
But there's got to be something stopping them because Jesus Christ, that team should not be a 500.
Mm-mm.
That's crazy to me.
When things like that aren't clicking, there is a problem in the locker room. Whether that problem stems from management, from coaching staff, from player attitude, I don't know. But y'all aren't figuring it out. And firing your fucking captain after the way y'all did him dirty when he had a no movement clause and then a 15-team no trade clause, that is shady and suspicious.
That's
and me
up.
personally, right? Me personally, I wouldn't have any sort of like loyalty and drive to put on for an organization that treats my coworkers that way.
Right.
I just wouldn't.
And I mean, think of all the rumors we heard last year with Capo Caco getting moved at the fucking trade deadline.
Right.
They weren't even talking about him, like, at least with Trouba, it was in the offseason. With Capo Caco, it was the fucking Caco. It was Lafreniere was talked about being moved.
Yeah.
The hardest market to play in is New York.
Right.
Like, as a Yankees fan, I see that so prevalently in everything.
Right.
It's the hardest market for you to play in American sports. There's no question. This is what they do because they demand winning. And it's like, well, you haven't won a Stanley Cup since 96. So like, or 94. I don't know. It's been like 30 years almost.
It's been a minute.
Yeah. So like, you've gotten close, but is it really worth at the expense of your captain and all your other players? Like, I get being like, hey, step up or we're going to talk about moving on from you. There's that. And then there's like, well, we don't really know. We just want to be done. And it's like, how the fuck is that conducive for anyone? That's not productive in any way.
Yep. And it's one of those things where you do have to look at stuff coming out of the organization as well, right? If you have this many rumors coming out of your organization about who is getting traded, you have a problem. No other team has the level of rumor mill that you have. And on top of that, you don't come out and combat any of it. Like, again, not to make the distinction between my team, but it is just a very recent conversation where everyone was putting out these rumors that Tom Wilson was going to get traded, right? And then our GM came out and was like, I want to be so fucking clear right now, that is not happening. Because he understood that, like, this speculation started from one person being like, oh my God, wouldn't it be great if we got Tom Wilson? And then suddenly it was Tom Wilson to leave Washington. And so if that's how these rumors are starting, is that one person would be like, oh my God, wouldn't it be great if? And then it spreads like wildfire. Then it is on you to come out and be like, I want to be so fucking clear right now. That is not happening. That's all it takes. And if you don't do that, then your players are sitting there going, well, fuck, is it real? They haven't told me, but they have a history of not telling me. Right? Because they've done that to how many other people?
Yeah.
And as like most people have come to realize, fear is not that great of a motivator. It really just isn't.
if anything, it makes it worse. And
Yeah.
at what point do we decide that that's not a good fucking idea? You know?
Right. Right. So I don't know, New York, you got to figure it out. You got some work to do. Um,
I welcome
yeah.
Jacob Trouba. As much as I talked about him
Yeah.
last year about being a fucking menace on the ice and like going out and
Yeah.
headhunting, I welcome him to Orange County.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see if this maybe just a change of scenery can help him.
Yep.
I'm excited to see what he can do on defense because fuck, we need it.
Maybe that's all he needs is a supportive staff, you know?
Needs a
It
team
can
that
really
fucking
change so
believes
much.
in him.
Yeah. And we've seen that happen with so many trades, by the way, of people who like were struggling in other organizations. They get traded and then suddenly it's like they're a whole new revitalized person.
Yeah.
So anyway, from that, let's talk about um let's do 3 stars of the
Sure.
NHL. Let's go into that one. All right, as always, starting with our 3rd star of the week. This week we have Aiden Hill, a goalie for the Vegas Golden Knights. So glad that Aiden is getting his flowers. I think that some of his play was overlooked in all of the drama in previous years there in Vegas. Anyway, Hill turned aside 66 of 68 shots that he faced, going 2-0-0 with a 1.00 goals against average, a .971 save percentage, and 1 shutout as the Golden Knights won each of their 3 games. He earned his 9th career shutout with 28 saves, including 16 in the 3rd period, and a 1-0 victory against the Edmonton Oilers. He then stopped a season high of 38 shots, capped by 17 saves in the final frame alone, and a 3-2 win over the Dallas Stars. The 28-year-old Hill shares 6th place in the NHL with 12 wins through 18 total games, highlighted by a 6-1-1 record, a 1.73 goals against average, a .938 save percentage, and 1 shutout in his last 8 appearances dating back to November 13th. Shout out to Aiden Hill. Also, I didn't realize they have little videos now. Cute.
They do.
Um,
Like NHL stepping up this 3-star
they're stepping it
page.
up. Yeah. I don't click on it. I just read the words.
Yeah, same.
Kind of. All right, our 2nd star, Braden Point, center for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Point notched 4 points in each of his 2 contests, sharing the league lead in assists and placing 2nd in points to lift the Lightning to a pair of wins. He posted his 2nd career 4-assist game and an 8-1 victory over the San Jose Sharks. Say it ain't so. That's embarrassing. Wow. I did not see that.
They slapped
Point then
that
factored.
ass.
Yeah. He factored on all 4 Tampa Bay goals and a 4-2 win versus the Vancouver Canucks. He became the 3rd different player in Lightning history to collect at least 4 points in consecutive games, joining Nikita Kucherov, a fucking menace, and Steven Stamkos, another fucking menace. Point also became the 3rd player in franchise history to factor on at least 8 straight team goals, also following Kucherov, who did this 3 times, and Stamkos, who did it once. The 28-year-old Point, who ranks 3rd in the NHL with 115 goals and 45 power play goals since the start of the 2022-2023 season, has found the score sheet in 17 of his 21 total appearances this season, compiling 18 goals and 11 assists for 29 total points. He leads the NHL in power play goals at 10, ranks 2nd in shooting percentage, and sits 3rd in total goals with 18. Impressive. All right, that leads us to our 1st star. Our 1st star this week is Matthew Tkachuk, a left winger for the Florida Panthers. Chris sent me something very funny earlier. I'm
Oh
not
my
going to bring it up. It was
god.
very funny.
Yes.
That was hilarious. Tkachuk led the NHL in goals with 5 assists, tied for 6. Tied as the league leader with 6. And points 11, power play goals tied with 2, and power play points 5 across 3 games to power the reigning Stanley Cup champion Panthers to a 2-0-1 week. He factored on all 4 Florida goals, including scoring the tying tally as the Panthers erased a 3-goal deficit in the 3rd period and a 5-4 overtime loss to the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Pittsburgh Penguins won? That's crazy. I didn't know they could do
Penguins
that.
have actually won like 5 in a row.
Wow. They must have really had to come to Jesus in that locker room. because they were
They
super
needed
big of
to,
it.
because Jesus
They needed
Christ.
it. Yeah. Kachuk then registered 1 goal and 4 assists, his 4th career 5-point performance, and first since February 6th of 2023, and a 7-5 win over the Philadelphia Flyers. It marked the second time in 2024 and in Chuck's career that he produced at least 4 points in consecutive games. He closed the week with 2 goals, highlighted by his 25th career game winner and first of 2024-2025, and a 3-1 victory against the San Jose Sharks. The 26-year-old Tkachuk, who compiled 5 goals and 10 assists through his first 17 appearances of the season, has doubled that production during a 6-game point streak dating back to November 27th. That stretch has included multiple points in 4 straight outings since November 30th, the 4th such run of his career, and first since January of 2023. So, shout out to our stars this week. Yay. I don't have anything else. That brings us, let's go a little bit funny before we get back to our serious. Chris, would you like to explain to us the unfolding drama that we have on the on TNT with some of our color commentators?
So, for those that have not been paying attention, and we touched on it last week, the saga between Paul Bissonnette and Brad Marchand has continued. Between the roasting last week of Marshy, just hammering Biz. Biz, he subsequently suspended Brad Marchand from the Mr. TNT Award competition, as for the effective for the entire season. I sent a group text, or I sent a reel in the group chat that we have on Instagram. And it was brilliant. It was
so good.
It started with Biz calling Marshy an angry elf and had the neck brace, and just they were going back and forth. As of, what was this, last week? One of the fun things that came out after that, in his response, Marchand's response to his suspension, was 2 goals in one night. He now leads the team with 10 on the season. Following his excellent night, Marchand made sure to roast Biz once again. He said he doesn't know what it's like to score goals. I'm sure it was exciting to watch. It feels great scoring goals. It's whatever it takes. I know you haven't had that opportunity, but it feels good. I don't mind riding coattails, just like you rode Witt's coattails all the way to Spittin' Chicklets.
So good.
And apparently afterwards he was reinstated to the Mr. TNT trophy. I love the banter. This is what the NHL needs, and it's like nobody can be the NHL on TNT. Like, no one is doing what they're doing.
Well, not only that, there was a whole segment before they got to the official banning where you saw Biz put on a horrible, horrible fucking wig and pretend to be not George Peros, but Porge Jaros of the Department of Player Safety.
Oh my god.
And then he had a full segment where he basically was like issuing this suspension or whatever.
So like how the Department of Player Safety put out a video when someone gets suspended. It's just what he did on live broadcast.
It's so fucking funny. I laughed my ass off.
It was brilliant.
It was so good.
The fucking neck brace though was such a wonderful touch. It is what do you want, you angry little elf?
Yeah. Oh god, it was so good. And Marshy was just like, I'm not going to apologize.
No.
It's not happening.
Why would he apologize?
No, yeah, he had nothing to apologize for. It was great.
It's brilliant. All I have to say is NHL and TNT, keep this up, because it's honestly one of my favorite things, and it's some of the best social media content I've ever seen.
Yeah. And I mean, look, Biz also had that incredible moment where he decided to get into a fight with C. Bowie last year.
Oh my god, he fucking elbow dropped him pro wrestling style.
So funny.
Paul Bissonnette as an analyst is the best thing to ever happen to the sport.
And it's not even because he's a particularly good analyst. It's because he brings entertainment value
He's just
that is
Biz.
needed when talking about sports.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
just himself.
Yeah. It's fantastic. It is so, so good.
Yeah,
Well, speaking
it's great.
sorry, go for
No,
it.
you're fine.
It's just us interrupting each other forever until we die, isn't it?
Always. But that's what that's the fun of it.
That's the charm, right?
Exactly.
Speaking of an organization, though, that is not fine, not fine by any means. The Chicago Blackhawks general manager Kyle Davidson announced recently on December 5th that they were relieving Luke Richardson of his duties as head coach. And in the meantime, the Rockford Ice Hogs head coach Anders Sorensen has been named as the interim head coach and will assume duties pretty much immediately. Mark Eaton, the Blackhawks assistant general manager overseeing player development, will assume interim head coaching responsibilities there in Rockford. So they're just doing a swapperoo. Um, Kyle said today made the difficult decision to move on from Luke as our head coach. We thank him for his efforts and contributions to the organizations and our community. As we have begun to take steps forward in our rebuilding process, we felt that the results did not match our expectations for a higher level of execution this season and ultimately came to the decision that a change was necessary. We wish Luke and his family all the best moving forward. On behalf of the entire Blackhawks organization, I'd like to thank Luke for his dedication over the past 3 seasons. I fully support Kyle's decision in making this change as he continues to do what is needed to move our team forward. I have the utmost confidence in him and the rest of our hockey operations team as they begin their search for the next head coach of the Chicago Blackhawks, says Blackhawks chairman and CEO Danny Wiritz.
They're moving real far forward at 9-17-2.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorensen, 49, assumes the role. He initially joined the Blackhawks organization as a development coach in 2013-14. Interesting year to be joining that organization. A role he remained in for 5 seasons until being named an assistant coach with the Rockford Ice Hogs beginning in the 18-19 season. Then promoted to associate coach ahead of the 21-22 season before taking over as interim head coach 6 games into said season. He earned a 35-26-5 record as interim head coach and then guided its team to its first Calder Cup playoff berth for the first time since the 2017-2018 season. He has since amassed a 117 wins, 89 losses, 16 overtime losses, and 7 tie record in his 229 game AHL career as head coach. Interesting. I love to see that they are pulling up someone from an AHL organization. Obviously, there's a lot of really great coaches there when we look at what the AHL is producing in terms of talent.
Oh, yeah.
I'm curious to see who they end up going with as a full-time coach. It just was interesting to me to see that they moved on from their head coach and didn't go with his assistant coach and instead brought in someone entirely different.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel
I feel like I feel like that's a stranger thing that we've seen more recently. It's usually been someone who is already on team staff or at least is a little bit more connected to the organization than your AHL affiliate.
Right.
How do we feel about it, Chris?
I mean, listen, it's no secret that we are not exactly fans of the Chicago Blackhawks and how they do things.
No.
Clearly, it's not great. I feel like a lot of the problems with the team is not on the coach.
Yeah.
I feel like blaming Richardson is a lot of the same sense of what we were saying when it came down to the Bruins. A lot of this is front office. That team has such a massive amount of salary cap available. You mean to tell me that they could not go out and throw fucking money at someone over the offseason and help build that team around Connor Bedard? Like, there's no excuse. And the fact that they're 9-17 and what did I say? 9-17-2? 9-17-2. They are tied for the worst fucking... They are tied for 32nd in the league.
Yeah.
With the Nashville Predators. I mean, granted, we're only like 4 points ahead of them, but still. It's like... It
counts.
It does count. And like, I don't understand what we're doing. Like I
Yeah.
I jokingly last season turned that franchise the fuck around in NHL
Yeah.
23 because I was
Mhm.
like, "Oh, I have 51 million in free cap space. Let me go
Yeah.
use that and
Let
make
me
this
do
team
it.
better." And I get it's a video game. I get that it's not as easy as real life. I
It's not
understand how
IRL.
that
Right.
works. But at the same time, I don't understand what we're trying to accomplish here. Like,
Well, my thing is, let's be honest. You guys were in a race to the bottom because you wanted a generational draft pick.
yeah,
I don't think you had any care to succeed, especially as you were shrouded in the shame that was the piss poor way that you handled Kyle Beach's coming forward about the assault allegations.
right.
So with that, you wanted to get a new face for your fucking franchise, and you did that. You got Connor Bedard, and then expected that in 2 seasons, Connor Bedard would save you. That's not how that works.
No.
I mean, look at the Penguins franchise when they brought in Sidney Crosby to be their fucking savior. Was he? Yeah. Yeah, he was. Did he get them a Stanley Cup champion the second year he was around? The answer is no. In
No.
case you don't know math or history.
They were
The answer there
pretty
is no.
fucking bad the first couple years he was there.
Yes. There's a lot that has to change, not only within the organization to be able to support a generational talent. This is something that I think the Edmonton Oilers should take and listen up real close to because they're not supporting Connor McDavid,
Well, they got
which is evidenced
Draisaitl.
by the fact they don't have a fucking cup.
But like
um,
when you look at that success for Crosby and the Penguins, what there are other names you think of when you think of those
yes,
teams. I think of Malkin. I think of Fleury. I think of Chris Letang. Like I think of monsters that have had legendary careers that were put in place for the Penguins to have dominated and been a
right.
top 10 team for the last obviously decade. Granted, the past few years they haven't been quite that good because everyone's getting, players are getting older. Team's not quite there, but still, through the 2010s, are you shitting me? The Penguins were a threat every year.
But here's the thing with that. When I listen to Sid and Flurry and all the guys talk about that time in their life, they're not talking about like, oh God, that one game against San Jose where we are able to do, whatever, super cool, dope, awesome stuff. They're not talking about that. What they're talking about is locker room stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about how they remember the guys pushing them. They remember the guys being there for them in the hard times. When I felt down on myself, Chris, was always like, man, shut up, you're fucking whatever.
Yeah.
Like, they talk about the guys in the locker room. They talk about how supportive and how amazing the coaching staff was. That's what they talk about.
Yeah.
Because the thing that is going to change your franchise is community. The community
Correct.
that they have with each other. You cannot have like history of repetitively getting all the way to the Stanley Cup and then winning it with a team that hates each other's guts.
Facts.
They
Big
can't
facts.
do it.
No, it doesn't happen. Because
And so you guys
hockey's a team
haven't
sport.
done anything to create an atmosphere where community is built.
Right.
So whose fucking fault is that?
It's not the players' fault.
No.
Like, do the
And
players...
sometimes it's not the coaches because
No.
if they're not given resources,
then what do you want them to do?
what are they going to do?
Yeah. It's another situation where it's another team who's doing poorly and they don't understand why they're doing poorly until they look internally and ownership goes, hey, we're going to make some moves.
Yeah.
People are getting here and there. And the problem is the Blackhawks aren't there yet. And I think that
No.
hurts them so much more because eventually you have to like take a step back and be like, okay, we've done this and we've done this. Why are we still not doing all right? And unfortunately, the only person that can answer that is the owners that are like, this is what we have to do. We have to make a chemistry change. We have to make a wholesale front office change. And you know what? In some sports, that shit works wonders.
Look at the Commanders. If you want to talk about an energy change, they fucking finally got rid of that piece of shit Dan Snyder, who has been ruining DC sports for fucking decades, right? They said, sayonara, motherfucker, got him out of there. And then look what the Commanders did this season in their first like real full season of being under new ownership.
They're killing it. What, they've only lost, what,
They're
3
fucking
games?
killing it. Yeah, they brought in a new coach because they needed one. Again, they had to cleanse the Dan Snyder era. They brought in new generational talent. Notice that keyword. Then they also brought in supports for him. All of the people that they have hired on since then are with the sole idea of supporting the basis that Jaden Daniels already has on taking his talents and making them better. And the coaching staff that they brought in also believes in that same core philosophy. And this kid is out there fucking killing it. And his teammates are having so much fun. They're fucking smiling. They're happy. They're working together. There's not like weird social media side beef happening. That is what most teams should be trying to replicate. Now, are the Commanders going to go and win the Super Bowl this year? No, the fuck they're not. I love them. Love them to death. No, the fuck they're not. But you know what? When they will do it? 2 years from now.
But they're making some fucking noise.
Yes.
Look at a perfect example. Perfect fucking example. Last year, the Arizona Coyotes finished with a record of 28, 40, and 14. The Utah Hockey Club right now in 27 games played is 12, 11, and 4. This time last year, I think Arizona had maybe one win.
Yeah.
You remove the problem, you
which
find
was ownership
a
in that
solution.
case. Yeah.
And I said it, and I will say it again. The Smith family, Ryan Smith and his wife, are the best thing that could have ever happened to that franchise. Because look at how respected the Utah Jazz are as an as an NBA team.
Yeah.
Players want to be there. Ownership gives a shit.
Yep.
Like,
it's not hard. It's right in front of them. You know what I mean? It's right here.
And Chicago's an Original Six team.
Yes.
I want to see them be successful because when an Original Six team is good, the league is good. The league prospers.
Right.
I don't want to see any team do bad. Granted, yes, look at the Sharks, the Kings, teams that I hate personally. I want to see everyone thrive.
Yes.
Like, there's no reason that they shouldn't be doing well.
Well, when every team is thriving, we then have more talks of expansion, right?
Exactly. And we have more talks and competition for playoffs. Could you imagine if there was about 10 more teams that were just realistic chances for that spot? For that last wildcard spot?
Right.
We'd be like, holy fuck, how is the last 3 weeks of the season going to go?
Which is so exciting. That, honestly, I think we did see an increase last season.
Oh my God,
with the wild card hunt because of how ridiculous it was that the Capitals had the worst goal differential, but were still in it.
Still somehow.
And then you had 3 teams, like people were switching back and forth between these games, between the Detroit game and the Caps Flyers game. Because the outcome, how that went, it was like mathematics galore. People were like, but if this does this and who does that? And
it was crazy.
Like people were watching because it was interesting. Because competition is interesting. As much as we laughed earlier about an 8-1 fucking loss, the San Jose Sharks losing 8-1.
That goal differential is
that's
huge.
Funny. That goal differential is huge. But I guarantee that a lot of people turned that game off if it wasn't their team whooping somebody else's ass. I'm not going to stick around and watch another team get beat up 8-1 unless it's the team I love or the team I hate.
But I want you to think about this too. When it comes to the wild card right now, that's going to play a huge factor for the Tampa Bay Lightning because right now they occupy. Granted, yes, they have 1 point difference above the Rangers in the Eastern Conference side, but their goal differential is a plus 22.
Yeah,
that's going to be huge if it comes down to a tiebreaker, and they're realistically only 5 points out of third in the Metro. Like, that can play such big dividends. And when it comes to, when you get down to the meat and potatoes of the sport, you want this sort of thing. If you're a casual fan and you only watch your team, I get that you don't, that this isn't going to matter. But for D and I, who are such hardcore fucking hockey fans, this is the shit for us. This is the shit that keeps us going.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in. And my team is ass. I'm all in for these fucking playoff races. And granted, yes, it's so early to talk about, but
Yeah.
At this point, we're talking about the future of an organization, and a future that could
Mhm.
be so bright if they just made the right moves to keep it
If they just
bright.
gave a little bit of a shit, you know what I mean?
Exactly. I always make the joke, "Hey, give me the controller, I'll fix the problem." But like, it shows me who doesn't even give a shit about that team to be
Mhm.
like, "Bro, we could be doing something here. Something could happen
Well,
here."
and it shows me how out of touch it is. Recently on TikTok, I forget which team it was, but they posted a video of like, I think it was the New Jersey Devils. They're like, we gave a Gen Z social media person access to our accounts to see what they would come up with. And when I tell you that was one of their most engaged videos in the last couple of weeks, because it was funny, it was engaging, it was new,
Yeah.
it was fresh. But so many of these ownerships are so afraid of that kind of stuff. Like they don't care what social media does because they don't think that it impacts them. But if they took that same mindset of like, we gave someone in Gen Z access to the fucking controller
Yeah.
for a week, just imagine what they could come up with, what ways that they could innovate and therefore entertain. Because that's what I think we're missing here, right? The Blackhawks, they're a dying franchise right now because they're losing. They're losing because they're not innovating. Innovation
Yeah.
is entertainment. That's why people like were so excited when like Tesla came out because that was a brand new fucking car, right? That was a way we had never seen motor vehicles presented in our lifetimes. People were so excited when the Nintendo Switch came out because you had a console that you could either play like this in a handheld or cast to your TV.
I have one in my room right now. Like,
Yeah.
but here's another thing
That
that's
innovation is
mind-blowing.
entertainment and that brings people in and they're not fucking innovating. Chicago is not innovating because they're so stuck in whatever fucking mire that they had from the 2010 shit.
Yeah, well, not only that, but they were good back then. But you
Yeah.
also had a young Patrick Kane, a young Jonathan Taves, a young Duncan
Mhm.
Seabrook, or Duncan Keith, Brent
Yeah.
Seabrook, young. Your goaltender is still Peter Mrazek.
Mhm.
What, like, Peter Mrazek's a solid goaltender, but
But why weren't you going for Darcy Kemper,
why weren't you?
who
Yeah,
was lights out a couple years ago and just needed some additional support?
the Vegas Golden Knights the last 2 years have had a fucking surplus of goaltenders.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Any one of
I
them can
mean,
start
I'm okay
literally
because we got
anywhere.
Logan and oh, I'm
But you
set with
see
that.
what I'm saying,
But
right?
yeah.
Brossois
Hmm.
gone. Thompson's gone. Like, you there's no reason that they couldn't
Yeah.
just, be like, these guys have some skill. There's some youth here and there's some ability here. I'm gonna go do that. I'm gonna go get that.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
But
You're
even aside from that, Vegas is a perfect example. Innovation equals entertainment. I have not been to a Vegas Golden Knights game. I do genuinely want to go to a home game there at some point because I've seen video of it and it is the most electrifying shit you
dude,
have ever seen.
in that city, as someone who's been to that city and has friends in that city is entirely behind the Golden Knights. They
Yes.
love the Knights. Like,
Yeah.
they love the Knights there.
And that loyalty, I think you can directly feel in the locker room.
Look at Seattle.
The players know how loyal and how like proud of their fucking team they are. And so they feel embarrassment in a way that is not fearful, but is motivational
Yeah. And
when
look
they
look
fucking
what
fuck up.
happens. Look what happens when they get their shit going. They're one of the
Yeah.
few teams in NHL history to win a cup within their first 10 years. We haven't
Yeah.
even celebrated their 10th year yet.
No. We
They
haven't
already
even
have
celebrated their like sixth year, have we?
Yeah, oh yeah. They started what, 2017?
Well, I'm bad at math.
2015. I'm sorry, they started 2015.
Was it that early?
Mhm. They made the Stanley Cup Finals in their first year.
The finals that they lost in was in 2018.
So it was 2017.
It was
Yeah,
2017. Yeah.
2017. So I mean, we're still like
Yeah.
so I mean, again, look at that success right off the rip. Look at Seattle.
Yeah.
Seattle may not be the best team, but fuck, that city loves them.
Dude, and they've gotten some deep playoff runs too.
Yeah,
Deeper than some certain other teams have gotten. Looking at you, Boston.
looking at you, Toronto. I just like I don't understand Connor Bedard is the only player on that team that has more than 20 points.
Yeah.
Ryan Donato has 15, Teuvo Teravainen 13, Taylor Hall 12, Alex Vlasic 12,
Mm-hmm.
Nick Foligno 11. Like, yeah, these are like decent numbers, but these are not top 6 numbers.
No. And you can see the frustration happening in Bedard. He's getting more chippy. He's losing control a little bit more. And a lot of that has to come down to this man is tired. This man is absolutely tired.
Because he's the face of a franchise that
He's the
doesn't
face of the
want to see
franchise.
him succeed. Or it's what it feels
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. Well, with that, this is actually a really great point to jump into our question of the week, actually. With several rocky starts to the season, which coaches do we think are getting the axe next, and which ones have all but locked in a contract extension? Chris, I'll kick it over to you first.
I hate to say it because I love him and he's one of my favorite hockey players of all time, but Marty St. Louis, I mean, let's not sit here and pretend that the Montreal Canadiens are a great team. They're 11-14 and 3. They're fucking they're 5-4-1 in their last 10 games. Like I get that there's some injury problems. I get that there's some stuff that's not fully in his control, but fuck, Montreal, you are the team. No team has more Stanley Cups than you. You're the most successful franchise in the history of the NHL. You're the last Canadian team to win a Stanley Cup. What happened? They were monsters in the 2000s. Up into most of the 2010s. They were beasts.
And then they fucking fell asleep.
They fell apart. Everyone got old. People got hurt. I mean, if you look at their stats right now, it's like, I mean, granted, yes, Patty should be coming back. You've got 2 players that are realistically your entire offense. You have Cole Caulfield, has 25 points. Nick Suzuki has 29. Look at fucking Vegas. Handed you Nick Suzuki on a silver platter. Handed him to you. Like, sure, take him. You should be killing it. You need to get Slavkovsky up and really get him going. Like, yes, it hurts them severely that Patty's only played 4 games a season,
but I mean, it hurts them, but they shouldn't be hurt that much.
No, and that team needs another team that needs a lot of help. Again, you've got a bunch of guys in double digits, but 10, 11, 13, 14, those are numbers you should be posting if you're like bottom 6.
Right.
Or defensemen. Defensemen, that's some nice numbers for some defensemen. But you need offensive output in this league. You need offensive output. You also need a goaltender like Caden Primo has 4.45 goals against average.
Right.
In 7 games. I'm sorry, 10 games.
Well,
that's not good. You should not be giving up that kind of goal, like those sort of numbers. And they won a tough game against Anaheim last night. Got them into a shootout. Those are 2 bottom 5 teams. Yeah. But like, you need to be pumping out all of this. Like, you need to be pumping out offense and getting better, because Marty's probably not going to have a job soon.
No, I agree. I think he is absolutely one of the ones that I would say, well, you probably should be hitting your network list to make sure that you can get a different job later. I would say, if I had, I think obviously from our conversations here today, I think Peter Laviolette at the New York Rangers should be concerned. They're so middle of the pack right now. Again, they've got what is it, 14 wins and 12 losses so far. He's been there a couple of years. I think that if he doesn't turn around, clearly New York doesn't give a shit. I also think, well, hold on. Let me preface this. If it weren't for the fact that it's Philadelphia, I think Torts would be out if he doesn't turn around. However, it's Philadelphia, and they love that man. The city loves John Tortorella, so I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. I would also say maybe we'll see a coaching change up. Actually, no. I think Detroit has come back enough that I don't think that we'll see them give up on him just yet. But I think Colorado might move on from Jared Bednar.
I could also see a world where Andrew Burnett's out of a job because the Predators are fucking terrible this year, and I don't understand why.
I don't either. With their acquisitions, they shouldn't be in last place in the league. I mean, they're technically not tied with Chicago for last place, only because Chicago has 2 more wins. But they have the exact same amount of points and the exact same
because they have more overtime losses.
Percentage. Yeah.
Again, that overtime loss thing comes in. Those points are valuable.
They are. They really, really are. So I don't know. I think we'll see some shakeup there potentially. I'll tell you where we're not going to see any shakeup though. We're not going to see it in Washington. Nope. I think Spencer Carberry just earned his contract extension. I don't think we're going to see it in Minnesota either. They just hired their new coach, and he is fucking killing it. They are second overall in the league right now.
They are tied for the best team in the NHL. Like,
it is unbelievable how good they're doing
right now. What the fuck?
Yeah. Minnesota is killing it. So I think he has earned his contract extension. Who else? Florida, they just re-signed. Carolina, they just re-signed. I don't think that they're in any jeopardy.
I mean, Bruce Cassidy is not going fucking anywhere in Vegas because brought that team a cup.
No, that city. Talk about another city that loves him. You know what I mean?
Oh my God. And Bruce is, again, another guy who got fired for not producing in the playoffs. Think about, that was a man who brought that team to a Stanley Cup final in Boston. They lost.
But you got to the final. They got
to the final. You gotta win. Yeah. You gotta win.
You do, but then I think you have to look at a team like Tampa Bay and what is it, John Cooper, who's been there for 13 fucking seasons and is the longest tenured coach in the NHL right now.
Yeah.
How many years did they not get there?
Exactly. And then they fucking won 2 in a row.
And they won back to back. And then he hasn't been able to repeat that performance.
I know.
But then he hasn't repeated that performance.
Yeah.
But they have no interest in moving on from him. And again, that goes back to community. Because he has built a community there. That ownership is like, hey man, we're just happy to get to this portion of the show.
And they're a playoff team.
You're doing great. And our team, our fans are happy to be in playoff contention. And they're fine for right now because of the recency of those championships. I think we go another couple of years, they start getting less fine, but I think he's safe for now, I would say. I'd say Mike Sullivan of Pittsburgh is safe, but only because they're protecting him for some reason. I don't think he should be.
Yeah, because
I think that there is a problem in Pittsburgh that they're not addressing because there's no way they should be as low in the standings as they are right now.
No.
They're sub 500.
I also think
that's crazy.
I also think Jim Hiller is in a good spot too because who would have if you had told me the past 2 years that the LA Kings would be in the top 10 in the league, like I would have laughed at you.
Right.
But that team's figuring it out. Rob Blake is doing such a great job as GM, and it kills me to say all these nice things about the team I hate the most, probably in all of sports, but. You gotta show credit where credit's due. Fucking A. Yeah. LA has turned it around in the biggest way possible.
Yeah.
Because I remember a couple years ago where all 3 California teams were dog shit.
Yeah.
LA figured it out.
Now, only 2 of them are.
Yeah, now only 2 of them are. And again, you gotta look at what's happening there. I think we're going to see if Vancouver does it again and they make the playoffs again, I feel like Rick Tocchet's safe.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like he's safe now after last season.
Yeah.
Like for
sure. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that we're done though this season with departures. Also, Scott Arniel, if the Winnipeg season continues the way it's been going too, he's safe.
Yeah, and then, I mean, they've not exactly had the best last 10. I mean, shit, they were, 17-0 or
Yeah.
something. They
And
started
now
off
they're
like
second in the Central.
insane. Yeah, now they're 20-9, but still they're third in the
Mhm.
league. There's a 3-way tie in points for the top team in the NHL.
Yeah.
They're one of them.
Yeah.
But again, like, what a wild season so far. Like,
It's
so many
great.
teams you didn't know, 2 teams that you didn't expect to be as hot as they are.
Yeah.
I think,
Also,
and
very interestingly, I will say too, an interesting stat is that both Washington and Minnesota also have almost an identical record in terms of away performances. They're at 11-2
11-2
for their away performance. That's crazy.
The only difference is that
Minnesota has more overtime
Minnesota's,
losses
yeah, and they've played 3 more games away.
because we get the overtime dub.
I mean, and look at other performance away. Like the New Jersey Devils are 11-4 on the road.
Mm-hmm.
That's an awesome stat.
We're seeing a great away performances. Vancouver Canucks, they're 10-2. That's nothing to turn your nose up at
We're
either.
5-3-3 away, but we've also played the least amount of games in the NHL.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
So I don't know. Let us know down below who you think is on the chopping block, and who you think is safe, and also let us know why you think someone should be on the chopping block. Like if you are passionate about why your team needs to get rid of your coach, we want to hear it.
Yeah, please let us know.
Mostly so that we can agree with you and then have a great conversation. So let us know down there in the comments below. Yeah, otherwise get fucked. Well, let's get into some Hurdy boys and some naughty boys. No naughty boys, actually. So good on you.
Wow.
Way to be responsible. All right, Hurdy boys. Let's get into it. We have a few people, unfortunately, from Anaheim. Leo Carlson is listed as day-to-day as of December 10th. Urho Vakanainen. Well, he's not really with.
He's not our problem anymore,
Anaheim,
unfortunately.
And
I miss Urho.
but
I'm
just
sad.
so you know, I know. But just so you know, he is also still out with an injury. So whether or not he plays with the Rangers in their upcoming games, TBD, I guess. And then lastly, Trevor Zegras supposedly coming back on the 12th. Maybe.
I just lost all sound. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's stupid. I think Trevor Zegras is coming back on the 12th, unless you have heard differently. But that's also the update we had.
It looks like they're getting a second opinion. I'm hopeful that he'll be back within the next couple days. We're hoping that it's a quick bang bang thing. Because God, he's dealt with enough injuries, and same with Leo. It's like, fuck, dude, we really use our young guys.
Yeah. No new injuries here for Boston. For the Buffalo Sabres, we have a couple. Sam Lafferty updated on December 8th to push his date out to the 14th. Rasmus Dahlin also had his return date pushed back to December 14th with the that back problem he's been having. In Calgary, we have one update. Ryan Lomberg expected to be out until at least December 12th for a personal reason. Hope everything is good there with Ryan. In Carolina, no new injuries. They've actually got most of their people back. That wasn't season-ending injuries, so that's great news for Carolina. In Chicago, we've had 2 new injuries. You know, talking about fucking the shit train that is Chicago. Their goalie, Peter Mazurek, out with a groin issue, out until at least December 21st. Alec Martinez, out with a neck injury, out day-to-day. The Colorado Avalanche have seen a few new people enter the list. Miles Wood is expected to be out until at least the end of the month with his upper body issue. Gabriel Landeskog, his knee injury, he's been updated now, push out once again to February 22nd. Mackenzie Blackwood.
I'm starting to think we won't see him this year.
I'm starting to think, yeah, we may not. We were so hopeful, but I don't think it's happening. Mackenzie Blackwood, out with an illness, expected to be out until at least December 12th. That's the syphilis for you. Although, wait, wasn't Blackwood just traded? Man, CBS, get your shit together. Because I'm pretty sure Blackwood just went to San Jose. So San Jose, sorry about it. Interesting. Jonathan Drouin, out with an upper body injury, expected to be out until at least December 16th. For the Columbus Blue Jackets, we just have one updated injury with Igor Chenikov, who is out with an upper body injury, expected to be out until at least December 28th. For the Dallas Stars, no new injuries, actually. They got a couple of people back. For Detroit, for the Red Wings, we have Cam Talbot, who is out day-to-day with a lower body injury. For the Edmonton Oilers, Victor Arvidsson is out with for undisclosed reasons and is expected to be out until at least December 19th. For the Los Angeles Kings, we have Arthur Kaliev, who is out with that collarbone injury and expected to be out until at least December 28th. Nobody new here for the Minnesota Wild, which is great for them. Nobody new for Montreal. For the Nashville Predators, unfortunately, they've had a few people show up. Ryan O'Reilly is out with a lower body injury, expected out until December 17th. Alexander Carrier out with an upper body injury, expected out until at least December 21st. Jeremy Lauzon out with a lower body injury, expected to be out until at least December 17th. And Gustav Nyquist out with an illness, expected to be out until December 12th. For New Jersey, we have Santeri Hataka, who is out with a shoulder issue, expected to be out until at least December 27th. Jake Allen, who is out with an upper body injury, expected to be out until at least December 12th. The New York Islanders got fucked up. Matthew Barzal out with an upper body injury on IR, expected out until December 15th. Semyon Varlamov, lower body injury, expected out until December 12th. Adam Pelech out with a jaw issue, expected to be out until December 17th. Scott Mayfield, illness, expected back December 12th. Anthony Duclair out with a lower body issue, expected back December 23rd. For Ottawa, we just have one new person, which is David Perron, who is expected to be back any day. This is a day-to-day upper body. The Philadelphia Flyers, they have Nicolas Deslauriers, one of Danger's favorites, who is out with an upper body injury, expected to be out until December 21st. Also, we miss you, Danger. We miss you doing these, so I can laugh and make jokes.
Exactly.
I can't laugh and make jokes now. San Jose Sharks, we have just one, Will Smith, who is out until at least December 14th. You know what's funny is that recently I saw a headline that said that Will Smith is suing Will Smith, but there's like at least 4 famous Will Smiths between the Will Smith and then the sports Will Smiths. So we're unsure as to which Will Smith is suing which Will Smith currently. If it ends up being this Will Smith, we'll let y'all know.
Yeah, that's going to be big NHL news.
Yeah. Could you imagine getting sued by Will Smith?
That'd be crazy.
And I think it's for like, whatchamacallit, like defamation or something like that. Craziness. Anyway.
Probably one of the NFL ones.
Probably. Moving on, the Seattle Kraken have no new injuries. The St. Louis Blues just have one with Nick Leddy, who's out with a lower body injury, and he is expected out until at least December 15th. Tampa Bay, Eric Cernak is out with an undisclosed issue, out until at least December 12th, and Anthony Cirelli out with an undisclosed issue, expected to be back December 12th. Maybe they're on like a little couple's vacation or something.
That would be so cute.
Wouldn't that be so cute? Just miss a couple of games. It's fine.
We're going to miss a couple games, but it's okay.
But it's cute. It's fine. I support it.
Oh, yeah.
For the Toronto Maple Leafs, we have a few injuries. Dakota Mermis, he's been updated, that jaw issue. He's out until December 12th. Lots of jaw injuries happening.
I think
for some
Mermis
reason.
broke his jaw.
That
if
sucks.
I remember correctly,
yeah.
I think he took a puck to the face.
But that's like the 4th jaw injury we've had today.
Yeah.
Like that we talked about on this show today. Bobby McMahon is out with a lower body issue, expected back December 12th. Jake McCabe, also expected back December 12th. I think those are just updates from last week as to when they're coming back. Excuse me, for the Utah hockey team. Just one, Connor Ingram, upper body is extended until December 31st for his injury timeline. The Vancouver Canucks, Derek Forbort, which I know we talked about last week, his injury recovery time has been moved to the 12th. Same with JT Miller. He was out on for personal reasons. He is, as of right now, expected back December 12th. And I believe JT was recently named to one of the Four Nations rosters.
He is. Mistaken. I know he's in the player assistance program right now, though.
Yeah. So I think they expect him back with plenty of time so that he is able to
hopefully he can play in the Four Nations.
Yeah, that would be really cool. For the Vegas Golden Knights, we have just Zach Whitecloud out day-to-day, upper body.
Oh my god.
For the Washington Capitals,
speaking of people,
we have Tom Wilson, who was out day-to-day. He got fucking, like, just... I don't even... There's no word I can think of to describe the wrist shot he took from Jacob Chikrin, right to the face. That man puffed up so bad, it looked like he was a squirrel storing nuts for the winter.
It was
It
crazy.
was it was insane.
I
Not only that, he got hit and then went on to score 2 fucking goals that
It's a
won us the game.
machine.
Absolutely insane. He was having a hard time talking in post-games interviews. He was on the
Mhm.
Hockey Night in Canada post-game interview, and he was like,
I did see it.
like,
I was
just
like,
sucking because,
Jesus,
like, between his
Tom,
nose and his mouth, it was unfortunate.
that's a
It really
cheekbone
was.
broken if I've ever seen one.
Bro. So he is being inspected. He said he is recovering. He posted something on
Jesus
Instagram.
Christ.
But Jesus fucking Christ. Oh my God. Also, this hasn't been updated on this site yet, but I did see our owner Ted Leonsis talking about Alex Ovechkin. He is saying he still expects it to be 3 or 4 weeks before we get Alex back into the game.
So first of the year.
Ted is dedicated to making sure that Alex fully recovers and can have a healthy rest of the season, and that he's not pushing himself too far.
That's good.
We'll see what happens because, as we all know, Alex Ovechkin notoriously does not like to sit out. So
No.
we may see him return sooner than 3 to 4 weeks. Who fucking knows? Who fucking knows? Lastly, for Winnipeg, just one update. That's Nikolai Ehlers, who has that lower body injury and is out until December 14th. So much shorter one this week, which is nice.
Yes.
That's it. That is our injuries as of right now. Chris, do you want to update us on how our fantasy hockey league is looking?
So there were a lot of ass whippings this week. I'm just going to throw it out and say there were a lot of ass whippings this week.
True.
We will start at the bottom like we always do and work our way up. Dave whipped the shit out of John. 102 to 77. Dave's best scorer was Matthew Tkachuk, had 21 points last week.
Filthy.
Drew beat the shit out of Wes, 108 to 76. D, you beat the shit out of Danger, 125 to 94. The closest game was Matt just barely squeaked out a win over Maul, 80 to 78. And what I did to Marcello is certifiable as a crime. Yes. I won 135 to 96. There was a point where he was really close, and then Saturday hit and I scored 24 points. And it was no longer close.
Yeah.
My best scorer, which is crazy. So shout out to Dave for having the best performer of the week. I had the second best performer with Austin Matthews, had 15.5 points.
Nice.
Week 10 matchups are current matchups. Danger is facing off against me currently. Wes is playing Matt. Dave and Maul are going at it once again. Drew and Marcello are at it, and D is playing John. If we go over to the standings, I am still your number one overall with a record of 9-0. D, you're right there. You're 6-3 in second.
I know. It hurts.
Danger's 5-4, and what would be the end of your playoffs right here would be Drew, who moved himself into fourth place. The points differential between points 4 is now over 100.
Yeah.
We did have a trade.
Because I had my first ever non-scoring or non-100 point week.
Yes, I know.
So that didn't help.
We had a trade this week between myself and D.
Me.
So D received Mark Stone in exchange for Eric Holla, who was subsequently released and then replaced with Marcus Pettersson from the Pittsburgh Penguins. No disrespect to Holla, and like I told D before we started recording, I was like, no disrespect, I really like Eric Holla, but like, he's not putting up the numbers I need.
No. Not that you need any numbers, Chris, because you have handily won every single week.
Not every week. Not every week.
Most weeks.
Most weeks I did win pretty handily. But I again, I know this is gonna keep blowing smoke up his ass, but I needs to be said is big props to Dave, because Dave went
Yeah,
from real bad to he is
real bad. Worse than the league,
like he's
almost.
5-4. Dave is a winning record.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
again, he came in incredibly cocky, saying he was gonna win the whole thing,
he did.
and I'd like to
Yeah.
say, ah, ah.
Eh,
And I feel
not
because
happening.
he was on a 4-week win streak, and then he met me, and I
Yeah,
won. But yeah, no, big props to everyone. We
yeah,
got to get Maul better.
yes, yes,
I actually sent Maul a text. I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna send you a list. That list is gonna include
yeah,
players to drop and players to add.
right.
We're gonna redo that motherfucking team, or make me a second owner."
Right. Oh yeah, you can
Um,
do that in this league.
you can. Uh, and I mean, right now you've got some top players like Charlie McAvoy is available. Steven Stamkos is available. I
Mhm.
think there's a good chance. Pavel Buchnevich is available. Matthias Ekholm. Um, I mean, Adam Larson has 47 points as a defenseman.
Yeah, that's
That's
pretty
good.
good.
Those are good production.
I'll take it.
That's good
Yeah,
production. Um,
I'll take it.
yeah.
I
So I
mean, not
mean,
me personally, but
we are getting into the meat and potatoes of the season. Um, so we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep seeing how this goes.
yeah. Hopefully, Chris loses. With that, let's. I actually
Mm.
have a trivia question this
Give it to
week.
me,
I
bitch.
stole Chris's job, and so now I'm asking you a trivia question. What percentage of the top 3 picks since the year 1990 are left-handed shooters?
I want to say it's a small number. Um,
Okay,
that's. Hmm. I would say 20%.
75.
Wow, really?
75% of the top 3 picks since 1990 are left-handed shooters.
That's crazy. Holy
Isn't
shit.
that insane?
Shout out to my fellow lefties.
Yeah. So, as of right now, there are 593 left-handed shooters and 398 right-handed shooters.
Wow, so the lefties are coming in clutch. Well,
They're
because
coming in clutch.
I feel like
Isn't that
it's a
that's a
lot
lot?
easier for players to be able to be more versatile as a forward if you are a lefty.
Mhm. Right.
Um, it's even more versatile if you are someone who can play on both sides of the stick. We
Yeah,
see this
yeah.
prevalent in sports like lacrosse, where if
Mhm.
you can shoot
You
from the
have to
left
have
and
an
the
offhand
right,
shot.
yeah, well, I mean, American players very much so are taught to play like that. Canadian players are still very
Yeah,
one hand, but a lot of them behind the back, this and that. Like
yeah.
we've yet to see a hockey player be able to do that successfully, and I feel like
Right.
that's a fucking game changer.
That definitely will be. But it is interesting because some of it comes down to, as you pointed out, the difference between teaching in America versus Canada, where in America, a lot of them teach that your bottom hand should be your dominant hand because you
Hmm.
get more power from it, right?
Yeah,
And in Canada, they teach it that actually should be your top hand. Your dominant hand should be your top hand because it gives you more control of the stick
yeah,
because of how much time you're spending one-handed puck handling.
right.
So there's a difference in philosophy, and it's resulted in 75% of the team being left-handed shooters, which I just think is incredible.
And well,
That I was
considering
absolutely stunned, and it's probably one of the only sports where left hand is so dominant. Because we don't see that in lacrosse at all, actually.
no, if anything, we see a lot more
No.
right-handed shooters. But we see
Hmm.
the influx of the Americans who can play on both sides of the ball.
Who do it both, right?
So, and obviously this shows just the sheer number of Canadians that are in the NHL.
That or the number of people who were trained in a Canadian style, right? You don't have
Correct.
to be Canadian, but your coach might have been.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Regardless of where you grew up, your coach might have been
And
Canadian.
that's how you learn. So that's fucking
Right.
wild. I
Isn't that
never would have
crazy?
thought of that. I assumed it was
Yeah.
low.
Yeah, I would
Turns
have
out I was
too.
wrong.
Yeah. But yeah, I found that earlier in the week and I was like, well, I have to steal Chris's job, so
That's an awesome question.
this can't go
Holy
untalked about.
shit, that's awesome.
No. All right, well, but I am going to kick it back over to you for your real job because your actual real job is the obscure, well, I don't know if we can say that this week, but it's the obscure player of the week. Chris, who do we have this week?
Well,
There you go.
our obscure, not so obscure player of the week is a one, Evgeny Malkin. The current forward for the Pittsburgh Penguins was born July 1986 in Russia, was drafted second overall in 2004 NHL draft by the Pittsburgh Penguins. Any any thought as to why he could be on this list right now?
I mean, I do, but I want to acknowledge that it's not because it's an original thought, but because you literally told me that he is the leader in penalty minutes
For
for the Pittsburgh Penguins,
which is the only team he has played for in his entire career. Um,
yeah.
and these numbers will change obviously as of the release, but as of current time of recording, 1,145 career NHL games and 498 goals, even though that's not correct.
No.
That's not correct.
That might be as of last year.
Yeah, let's get a correct number. 1,174 games played. He has 504 goals, 816 assists. He has a plus minus in his career of plus 40.
Wow, that's impressive.
He
Genuinely.
has 1,174 penalty minutes, which makes him the all-time leader in Pittsburgh Penguins history.
What a bad boy.
I know.
Gino, come on.
He also, I just want to point this stat out because I think this is pretty cool. He has 180 power play goals.
Wow. That's impressive, actually.
He has 4 career shorthanded goals.
That's like a fifth of his stuff. More than a fifth. That's like a fourth.
Yeah.
Math.
That's still pretty nuts. He has 84 of his 504 career goals are game winners.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for him.
He has
Gino coming in clutch.
Dude, shout out to Gino for being a stud. He
right?
has in overtime
and a naughty boy.
Exactly. And a 3-time Stanley Cup champion. Let's call him what he is, champion. He has obviously 3-time Stanley Cup champion, 2-time Art Ross Trophy winner, won the Calder Trophy, Conn Smythe, the Hart Memorial Trophy, the Ted Lindsay Award. The only thing we don't have is his number retired in the rafters and him in the Hall of Fame, but that's because he's still playing.
Well, he's still active, yeah.
And he's 38.
Can't get that quite yet.
Hey, real quick.
He's a first-round ballot Hall of Famer.
There's no question he's a first ballot. Real quick, do you know what hand he shoots with?
Left hand.
He is a lefty.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You're like, I'm so excited.
I was like, oh, let me choose a player here. I was like, you know what, we'll go with the Penguins this week. Not realizing that, of course, it's Gino, but I think that's cool that we have an active player this year. Or at least this week. And we love Gino. How do you not love Malkin? Yeah. He's such a good guy. I wouldn't fuck with him, but he's a good guy.
I'd maybe just the once, just to see what it feels like. You know what I mean?
Fuck with him or fuck him? Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Bit of both.
Yes. ¿Por qué no los dos? You know?
You hit really hard. That was painful.
Well, thank you for that, Chris. And it tied in beautifully to my trivia question. So
that was perfect.
Some will say that's planned. It was perfect,
others will say I had no idea what the fuck the trivia question was. And that would be correct.
Chris did try to get me to tell him what it was, and he was like, "Is it a Caps thing?" And I was like, "No, it's not. I promise. It is not. It's a legit trivia question."
Well, I think that's what's cool about the trivia question is that is a secret to them. Also, the player of the week is a secret to them up until day of recording.
Yeah,
y'all
and we don't look it up either.
Picking. Yeah.
No, if we know the name, like I knew who Dale Hunter was. I know obviously who Evgeny Malkin is. If we know the name, great for us. But if it's an obscure player, by the definition of obscure, I typically don't know them.
Yeah.
So it's great.
Which I think, honestly, I think
fun.
is one of the best segments because it's just like, who the fuck is this guy? Yeah. Let me tell you.
Except for this week. This week, let me tell you his stats. There we go.
Yeah, let me just tell you what he's done. And if I say the name and you don't know who he is, you don't watch hockey.
I was going to say open a TV, but that's not how that saying
goes. You can open a TV, but I guarantee you're not going to find Gino inside.
You should not open a TV. That's a very dangerous thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like wormholes and shit.
Yeah. Anyway.
Fucking WonkaVision.
Dude, I wanted to do that so bad.
Oh my god. Fucking
oh my god, I wanted that
Are
so
you
bad.
shitting me? They literally...
I was like, I'm jealous. What do you mean this is the best outcome for that kid?
And, like, not only that, but Mia's just a nerd in the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. The fact that inside WonkaVision, just a scene from 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
Who would have picked up on that? This fucking guy.
Genius.
Exactly.
All right. Well, with that, if you have a question of the week for us, or if you want to pitch to Chris an obscure player that you haven't heard, but maybe is your favorite, let us know. It's really easy. Send a carrier pigeon, send an email, drop a comment on wherever it is you're watching, listening, have it on the background while you're taking a shit, wherever that is. Let us know in those comment sections. Or on our TikTok. Be happy to receive comments, suggestions, whatever there. Do that, and then we can add it in next week. If you're not following us on TikTok, fucking do that, because we release exclusive TikTok content every week, kind of. I fucked up.
Every weekday.
Every weekday, yes. And yeah, make sure you give this podcast episode a like. Make sure you give our podcast in general a follow, so you can be notified every time we post a video, which is Fridays, at whatever time Chris posts them. I don't know. That's not my job.
8 a.m. every Friday.
That one.
So this way, you guys have us for your morning commute, and it's a great way to get your Friday going, send you into the weekend, get a little hockey in your veins, because we all know it's the real man's sport. Fuck football. I'll say it.
That just reminded me of the comments from last week's episode, which if you have not watched last week's episode, go fucking do that.
Do it. For real.
All right. Well, thank you guys. As Chris likes to end this show, peace, love, post suitor. And we will see you motherfuckers in the face-off circle next week.